Okay, perfect. Okay, so welcome to cash flow number 101, guys. I'm going to talk very briefly about a bunch of different things, and so listen fast. But to explain where I need to go, and so I just want to give brief overview of here because basically, as an employee, you want to get over to investor section as quick as you can. But just to kind of explain terminology, that way we're talking on the same page. Okay. So employees tend to buy doodads. They don't tend to buy assets, but they can. But they tend to buy doodads, and I'll explain to you what a doodad is. Okay. So a doodad is what your bank calls an asset because they are receiving funds every day, every month. They receive funds. So for them, it's an asset. But for us, something that's an expenditure is an out of funds. That's a doodad. It's an expense. And so what I want to do is explain how to use your make things work for you as assets. Okay. Possibly convert your doodads to assets. Another thing about the employee section is we're as employees, we pay more taxes and we make less income. So what tends to happen is people tend to migrate through this quadrant until they get to investors. Self-employed is a similar type of thing. You are being paid by the hour, and if you don't work that hour, you don't get paid that hour. You don't work a day, you don't get paid. And so this becomes a problem in this sector. You have to put in time for money. Okay. To get into here, most people, this is where you'll find contractors, like painters, contractors, plumbers, whatever. Okay, the thought is, hey, I can do it better, and you might as well get paid more because then they don't have to pass through someone else. And so that's often what people do. But also the other people that sit in this quadrant are people like doctors and lawyers and high educated, accountants and stuff. To get into this quadrant, you kind of need to either buy a seat at a chair on a board of directors, okay, or other things that qualify in this are big businesses like franchises. Okay, so it's a business system, and a business system pays you money. The concept behind a business system is for example, I would sooner have 1% effort from 100 people than 100% of my own efforts. And so you're leveraging people, you're leveraging income. Another type of business in here is word of mouth businesses. Okay, so those are often in this group because it's a business system and there's a small entry fee. Okay, and easy for most individuals to get into. So to bypass all of this, go directly to investor. This is where we want to go, because you get your assets working for you. And again, assets are things that make you money. Okay, so things that are doodads are your house, your car, your motorbike, your snowmobile, stuff. Okay, this is stuff. It's costing you money. In this example, let's say your house, let's say you rent a room or you rent the basement. Well, then now that is an asset because it's now paying you on a monthly, daily basis. And that's what we want to do is to get our income to be greater than our expenses. That's how you get out of the rat race. The second problem that's going on is the value of the dollar is going down. Okay. So back here when my grandparents lived, the dollar, the value wasn't, it dropped really quickly, but it became very expensive to cost of living. Okay. And then when my parents are around, okay, the cost of living still became very expensive. And here, in the 80s, we noticed that most people have to have two sources of income, like the husband and the wife are now working because the dollar, the cost of living is going up so much and the value of the dollar is going down, and here we need to have 3-4 sources of income. Okay. Just to kind of explain the difference between the dollar cost, the cost of the dollar and gold as an example, or Bitcoin as an example. Okay. So if you bought a Corvette in 1974, as an example, it'd be cost you $6,000. Well, that same Corvette today would be $69,000. That's a massive difference in cost, and the value of the car is the same. Okay. And the reason why we know it's the same is because look at gold, 34 ounces of gold, 25 ounces of gold. It's about the same amount of gold, and gold retains its value. Okay. Because gold retains its value, we know that this is way overpriced. It's because the dollar has gone so far down. And there's no way to overwork 3.5% in 3.5% of inflation every year. Okay, there's no way to overwork that, except if you have your money working for you. Look, if you had bought the Corvette in 1974 with Bitcoin, okay, it would have cost you 6 million Bitcoins. But today, it would only cost you 1 Bitcoin. This is what I mean by the dollar is being undervalued, and it doesn't have a purchasing power. So let's combine these two concepts together a little bit. Okay. So first of all, your passive income, you need to have passive income that exceeds your expenses, because when your passive income exceeds your expenses, you can breathe, your needs are met. Okay. And your expenses, you'll have expenses your entire life. Like my grandfather still has expenses. Okay. But your passive income is what pays you. And once you've got over, your expenses are greater, your passive income is greater than your expenses, then your life, it has flipped around the right direction. Okay. So let's talk about how to do that. Okay. Is by having assets that work for you. And I want to talk to you about the best asset in the world and why it's the best asset. Okay. Which is Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin is growing in ability. Bitcoin is the best place to store wealth because of its power. Let's look at another example. Okay. So many companies in the world are buying Bitcoin. Why are they buying Bitcoin? Many countries in the world are buying Bitcoin, acquiring Bitcoin. I read an article just the other day that Nigeria has requested that USA no longer pay them in US dollars, that they pay them in Bitcoin. Why is that? Is because Bitcoin is a secure way of storing wealth. Bitcoin is in fact the best way to store wealth, because in the short term, the dollar can get undervalued because the government prints off as much as they want, anytime they want. They print more. And there's no finite source of it. Okay. Here are some reasons why Bitcoin is the best. Number one, 8 of the past 11 years, it is the top performing asset of all assets. All assets. It's the top performing in the past 8 of the past 11 years. Okay. The other thing about Bitcoin that makes it really good commodity, really good asset to own, is over the next few years, 5 years, next year, the price of Bitcoin is going up. It still is going up. And so they're expecting Marba Kiyosaki, $500,000 for a Bitcoin. Kathy Woods, 1.5 million in the next 20 years for a Bitcoin. And what this means is the price of Bitcoin is going up. And so it is retaining its value. It's outstripping inflation. It's outstripping the reverse process that the dollar is doing. Okay. So Bitcoin over time, yes, it goes up and down, And this is great for trading. It goes up and down. But over a long period of time, it's significantly improving its value. And our expectation is that it will continue to do the same. And it will. And here's some reason why. Is because no government controls it. No corporation, no company, okay, no individual. It's completely intellectual software. It's completely intellectual, and it's the best. And this makes it the best asset ever, is because nothing else controls it. And it's simply, let me show you this next, why this is the case, okay? What happens is every year, there is only so much Bitcoin that is produced, has been produced, or can be produced. Okay, it's a finite amount. It's a finite resource. So this makes it scarce. Okay. The other thing that makes it really valuable is the fact that every 4 years, the ability to make the Bitcoin reduces by half. That's why it's called the halving. Okay. And so every 4 years, half as much Bitcoin is produced. Every 4 years, half as much is produced. And that makes it a scarcer item as we go along. The other thing is the demand for it is going up because people are realizing that this is a stable, the best asset to use to store wealth. Now, I'm not talking about storing wealth for 10 years or 20 years, because for example, you look at like Argentina. Okay. So Argentina, you see their dollar value going down in 20 years, what it's taken the US dollar 100 years. But it's still the same chart. The same thing is happening to the dollar as it is happening to every other country. And so a powerful economy like the United States, their dollar is going down. What's going to happen? Okay. Pretty soon, the dollar, since it isn't backed on anything, will have to be backed by something. And it's likely going to be backed by Bitcoin. And so this is why countries, companies, people are all acquiring Bitcoin, is because they're recognizing that this is where the money is going in the future, and it's the best place to store wealth. Okay. So let's say that there are 3 ways to acquire Bitcoin. Okay. One is by buying it, which I would encourage everybody to do. Just buy a little bit every day, just a little bit. And because you're converting your useless dollars that have no value into something that has value. It can't be destroyed either. Okay. Because you go, well, what if it, somebody takes control of computers and this, that, and the other? Well, I'm telling you, from an IT perspective, that can't happen. Because if it were to be that kind of a problem, we would also have no banking, also have no electricity, also have no government. Okay, so we'd be in the dark ages anyways, so it wouldn't matter. So this is why it can't be destroyed, is because every computer in the world would have to agree that it doesn't exist, and that can't happen. So the best way to acquire it is through buying it. Well, that's not the best way. Our way is to acquire it through buying it. Another way is trade of goods and services. So I'll pay you in Bitcoin, you pay me in Bitcoin. And this is the reason why Nigeria has requested the government of the United States to pay them their transfer fees in Bitcoin and to stop using US dollars. Okay. And the third way, the best way to acquire Bitcoin is through mining. I will now explain how to mine. Okay. Because this is important to understand a little bit how the process works. That way you go, oh, this is what we're talking about now. Okay. And so what happens is, this is a mining machine. And these are mining rigs. So these are many mining machines. A mining machine is just a computer. It has no brains. Its one job is to detect movement on the network and then run through a computational problem and resolve that computational problem and then post it on the log saying this, what happened. And so what's happening here is every single one of these blocks that are following, this is a graphical representation of the Bitcoin that is moving from place A to place B right now as we talk. Every single one of these mining machines, they have to detect movement on the network and then do the mathematical computation to resolve the question and then post that result, post that this was transferred. So for example, you've got a little bit of Bitcoin, this one right here. There's $34 of Bitcoin that was moved. And there's 13 sats, 1,300 sats. What this means is there's a little fee that is commissioned that this computer, when processing, they receive that commission. Okay. This big one here, for example. There's a nice big one. So 110, so $10 million. That's how much this block was. $10 million was transferred from place A to place B. And the sats for that was 5,000 sats. Okay. So that what happens is the computer that processes it gets dumped into the mining pool. Only the computer that processed it can then retrieve it back from the mining pool. the other thing that happens is all of these processing that occurs, it goes into this block, and then the block is revealed every 10 minutes and then dumped into the mining pool. Part of the revealing process creates new Bitcoin. And so this is how the Bitcoin is created over time. And every 4 years, half as much Bitcoin can be created. And so the mining companies, they have to deal with electricity costs. They have to deal with upgrade costs because they need to keep their hardware running, okay? And upgrading. And so this is how we come in, is we make it more efficient. We have a contract with the mining companies. There are 3 mining companies that we have a contract with. And one of them is in Texas. The other one is in Ethiopia. And I don't know where the third one is, okay? And so we have a way to make the mining more efficient, okay? And we use a booster to do that. It's like chip tuning on a truck, okay? So it happens is the booster itself, it detects the movement on the network. We already talked about this a second ago. It detects the movement on the network, and it supplies that feed to the mining machines and says, here, do this easiest one first. Do this harder one next. Do this harder one next, and do this harder one last, okay? And so the mining machine then receives the feed from the booster and then processes. So as a result, they are processing more efficiently because they're able to process more quickly. The other thing that the booster does is those jobs that don't need to be processed. For example, only the first computer that processes the job actually wins the reward. All of these other computers that were processing it, they didn't get there first. And they are simply confirmations, but they don't get paid for that work. And so the USB device says, I'm not even going to bother looking at these other ones because they've already been done. I'm just going to look at new work to get done. And so what happens is the mining company produces Bitcoin that it normally produces, and we come along with our booster and we go, okay, here's the Bitcoin that you normally created. We're going to improve your efficiency, and we will then share these profits with you on the additional Bitcoin that you then produce. And the mining company goes, so I don't have to have any more outputting of money. I don't have to upgrade my hardware. I don't have to you don't have to buy something new. We will share with you the Bitcoin that is made in addition to what you were previously making. They go, done deal. We'll do that. And so we share out back to the mining farm 60% of the Bitcoin that is created. We, as booster owners, we get 30%, and our parent company, the one that's the mediator between us, they get 10%. Okay. And so looking at the coins that we've produced since March, okay, the 6th of March, we've been producing Bitcoin as a result. And since June 26th, we've produced 100 Bitcoin. So using these numbers, 100 Bitcoin, 30 of them went to us as booster owners, 60 went back to the mining farm, and 10 went to the parent company. Okay. So let's talk about the differences between opening a regular business and opening a BitHarvest business with boosters. Let's say you have a regular business, mom and pop shop, costs you $50,000. Yeah. And you've got to deal with your employees' drama. You've got to deal with product. You've got to deal with rent. You've got to deal with keep the lights on, all sorts of stuff. Monthly income. So monthly costs $1,000. Monthly income, another $1,000. Yearly income, $12,000. Whereas you compare that to buying boosters, it's a one-time cost. You can buy one booster. You can buy a shared booster. One booster costs $1,000. But in this example, let's buy 50 boosters, $50,000. Your daily income, approximately $200. Monthly estimated $6,000. Yearly estimated $72,000. This is one-time fee, and I'm not even talking to people. I just simply bought the boosters, and now they're working for me. And boom, boom, boom. Every day we get paid. Okay. This is, from my point of view, the smartest business I've ever come across ever. Okay. Let's compare that to real estate. Now, in real estate, I've got to have 1 unit, 2 unit, 3, 10 units to then provide me a passive income. Because 1 unit, yeah, it'll cost me $100,000. Got to fix it up, or maybe I want to flip it. That's fine. I got to fix it up. Got advertising. You know, who knows how long before the sales of that item will occur. Okay. I don't have any control of the market when people want to buy or sell. And if I want a good price that I want, then I have no control of that. And so let's say it could be months, years before I realize I can't sell it, and I've got to put a tenant in. That's a cost. It's not an asset until it's making me money. Once it's making me money, let's say it makes me $500. A yearly income, 6,000. And so as a passive income, if I want this type of business as a passive income, I've got to have 5 properties at least so that I can have a passive income that I can use. Or I just use 100 boosters, which costs the same amount, $100,000. One daily income, about $400. Monthly income, $12,000. Yearly estimate, $144,000. Okay. From my perspective, I'm going, oh wow, this is way better business, because I don't have to talk to people if I don't want to. All I do is simply buy boosters. I can start where I'm at, and I can upgrade my system as I go, and so I can compound it, or I just go wherever I'm at. Okay, let's compare getting paid let's say I use 1 Bitcoin. Okay, next year I would have still 1 Bitcoin. The year after that, I'd still have 1 Bitcoin. And now the value of Bitcoin is going up. That's great, but I'd still only have 1. Let's say I use my 1 Bitcoin and I buy 70 boosters. So next year I would have 1.823 Bitcoins that my 70 boosters made for me. The year after that, I still have 70 boosters, and I've made another 1.823 Bitcoins. The year after that, I still have 70 boosters, and I've got another 1.823 Bitcoins. You see what's going on here? I've got assets that work for me. They just simply churn and do the work. I bought them one time. I don't have any other fees. I'm done. I'm happy. So let's say I want to, you start where you're at, okay? You know your finances. You know where that break-even point is, so that you can have your passive income greater than your expenses. Do you need $1,000? Do you need $120,000 a month? Do you need $12,000 a month? Where's your break-even point? I don't know. Do you need $6,000 a month? What about $12,000 a month? Okay. What about $12 a month? Some countries, like Venezuela or some other countries, yeah, $12 a month is like really good income. That's really nice. Everybody starts wherever they're at. The minimum you can do is 1 shared for $100, and it produces about 30 cents to 50 cents a day, $12 a month. Okay. Most people buy at least 1 booster, because that produces pretty good, about $3 to $5 a day, about $120 a month. My personal goal is to get up here to 50 boosters, then to 100 boosters, because then it's producing me $6,000 a month. And that's where my break-even point is, because I need to have my passive income exceeding my expenses, and I can breathe at that point in time. Okay. And here's the other thing about this, because it's a one-time fee. You buy them wherever you want. This is how much you need. Great, go for it. If you aren't able to afford that, then buy a little bit less and get up, grow the account. And if you want a pay raise, you can buy a few more. Big deal. Never seen any other business. Oh, I just want a pay raise today. I want to increase my pay raise by this much. Yay! Off we go. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the company itself. The company itself is located in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Okay. And the boosters themselves are housed in the server room at Malaysia. There are, in fact, 3 server rooms. Each one of these little trays here holds 20 boosters. One of these little sections holds about 1,000 boosters. Okay. So each one of these rooms holds about 5,000 boosters. By the way, there are only 500,000 boosters for sale. There aren't any more than that. And so if you want to do a tour of the office, feel free. People do it all the time. one of my friends is over there right now doing walk through the office. And that's actually how I came in contact with this company. Is he was sitting across the street eating lunch at his hotel, looks across the street, sees BitHarvest on the door. He's like, what? What's that? Walks across the street, walks in and goes, hey, what do you guys do? And they tell him all about it. He was like, wow, this is the best thing since sliced bread. Go talk to the individual that gave you this video. They care about you. They want you to have a good experience, just like they're having a good experience. Go talk to them. Go create your ID and get your account going. I would encourage you also to buy a booster. Look at your situation and determine what you can do and take action. If you don't take action, you're actually really losing money every day because the power of the money that you're in, the currency that you have, is going down. And so every day you are losing the ability to buy stuff. Okay. You're losing the ability to pay for stuff. Go take action. Because if you take action, you now have a way to make money. You now have a way to circumvent the lowering price of the dollar. And you now have an ability to make money. You now have an ability to get out of the rat race. Your friend cares about you. That's why he gave you this video. Go talk to him. Have a great day. Have a good experience. Just like the rest of us. Make some withdrawals and have a good experience. Talk to you in a bit.